It's been a very interesting economic and business and markets week. Quite a lot to chew, from the P&ID messy scandal to the presentation of the MTEF and fiscal strategy paper to the Senate, as well as all the talks around budgets, and then the refineries, which the NNPC says will be repaired starting from January next year. For now, we can kiss the sale of the refineries goodbye unless anything happens between now and 2022, which is the new deadline or timeline set for itself by the State Oil Corporation. Johnson Chukwu is a CEO at Carrier Asset Management and is trying to put some of this into perspectives for us so that we can just wrap up the week and technically say goodbye to September. Thank you, Johnson. Good morning. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for sparing us some of your time here. If we start with some of the big stories this week, which of these do you consider as the big elephant in the room in the current week?
Which one do I consider as the most?
Yes. Which of these issues I've listed is the big elephant in the room for you?
Well, the biggest news is the issue of P&ID, and then the submission of the medium-term expenditure framework. The P&ID judgment, the judgment the government got yesterday, allowing Nigeria to appeal the claim or the judgment against of $9.6 billion against Nigeria, and then the second judgment they got that allows them to ensure that P&ID does not foreclose Nigerian assets immediately pending the appeal, the outcome of the appeal. So those two are the two critical issues, and then the budget the MTEF that was submitted by the president during the week. For me, those are the two critical market or economic-oriented news that we had.
Why is that so?
Well, in the first place, let's start with the P&ID judgment. Of course, we know there is a contingent liability hanging on the neck of Nigeria of $9.6 billion, which, if nothing is done, that Nigeria could lose $9.6 billion of our reserves. Current reserve level is just in the neighborhood of $32 billion. So if you take out $10 billion of that, because that's approximately $10 billion, you know what we'll be left with. Then beyond that, that will create a lot of uncertainty in the macroeconomic environment, in the sense that our foreign reserve will decline, which could affect our exchange rate, which could also affect the rate at which foreign investors are bringing money into the economy. So any attempt to take out $9.6 billion from Nigeria will have very severe impact on the economy. So that's, for me, whatever we're going to do as a country to prevent that happening is very important. And having gotten the leave of the UK Commercial Court to appeal that judgment was a starting point, because remember, Bosin, that we are now outside the timeline for appeal. And I believe why the Commercial Court granted that leave to appeal is because we approach it from the perspective that this was an illegal transaction that was actually underpinned by a corrupt engagement. So I believe that's the only reason why they would have allowed us to appeal outside the appeal timeline. Secondly, the fact that we also got the judgment of the court to stop the execution of that judgment pending the outcome of the appeal is also important to me. So those two legal victories, or call it even if it's temporary legal victories, are very important to enjoy some level of stability in the economy. The second issue that I mentioned is the submission of the medium-term expenditure framework. We've had, for the past couple of years, where the budget is passed into law almost middle of the following year, the year of execution. And then we realized we cannot effectively implement this budget, particularly the capital expenditure component. But for the first time in a long while, we've seen the medium-term expenditure framework submitted according to the timeline of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which is that should be submitted by September. I'm hoping that before the end of this month, or probably by the early part of next month, we'll have that passed, and then the federal government can now submit the national budget, which hopefully should also be passed into law ahead of the December timeline, so that we could have an implementation and go back to a regular fiscal calendar that runs from January to December.
A quick one, Johnson, when we talk about the P&ID's case, that's a commercial court in the UK. We spent years, and I'm sure you're aware of this, we spent years and decades asking the Nigerian government, the various governments in the past, to set up commercial courts to help to adjudicate on matters of this nature within the country. Till date, we don't have one.
I think Lagos State has something close to this, because Lagos State case is may not be exactly what you have in the UK, but there are commercial transactions of certain threshold, financial threshold, that go through the court, fast-track court process in Lagos. And I believe that the Nigerian government at the federal level should have to aid that and probably broaden it so that we can actually have commercial court. Something I'm a living witness to the snail speed that you experience in our Nigerian court, irrespective of the financial nature of those transactions. Nigerian courts, you can go to try a commercial case. Two things. One is that because of congestion in the court, it could take donkey years before the case is heard and the case is concluded. At which point, even if you win financial reward, compensation, it becomes of minimal value because it would have been eroded by inflation. And because for businesses, we look at time value of money. Then the second aspect is that going to conventional court may constrain the judges because they may not have the technical knowledge to try certain transactions because of their commercial nature. So it is absolutely necessary that we, as a country, adopt this structure and we have commercial courts that we try commercial cases. One, the cases should be tried timelessly because of time value of money, and then it will also give the opportunity to train those judges to understand the nitty-gritty, the details involved in commercial transactions.
Johnson, let's talk about the refineries. This week, it was all out there that the NNPC believes that those of our refineries can be repaired and says they will start in January next year, and by 2022, they should be done with that. So do you think this is kissing the sale of those refineries or privatization goodbye? It's not for sale for now, but at least the repairs or the rehabilitation will go on. Do you think this new timeline is workable? Do you believe the State Oil Corporation will be able to achieve this?
For me, I strongly doubt that it's workable. I strongly doubt the feasibility of having that timeline. I think it amounts to waste of economic resources for us to continue to do this in time and time again, and they end up with the same result. Whatever monies we want to put in the refinery should be better put in other areas. With the immediate Vice Minister of State for Petroleum Resources did mention that even when you turn around these refineries and pour crude into them, that is output, that the feedstock, the cost of the feedstock, which is the crude, is higher than the byproduct or the refineries are bringing up because the refineries are grossly inefficient. These refineries were built about 40 years ago, and the technology advancement has gone far beyond they are. So for me, to continue to invest in these refineries is a drain pipe, and we should avoid that. The best option is to look for those who may have the capacity to turn around these refineries and sell them. And in the event that we can't do that, let's cap the refineries and liberalize the oil and gas sector so the private sector operators can set up refineries. To continue to pump him, I need to ask the Minister of State for Petroleum, can he tell us how much has been spent on the turnaround maintenance of the refineries in the past 4 years? And how much have we generated from the refining of petroleum products in those refineries in the past 4 years? It will clearly be monumental, and I don't think we should continue in that.
Okay, Johnson Chukwu, thank you so much for speaking to us on the show this morning. As I know, the market is in its final trading day. Johnson, 30 seconds, you have a word on the market outlook?
Well, the market will likely remain what I may call in a relatively stable condition in the next couple of weeks until we have clearer economic direction.
Thank you, Johnson. Enjoy the rest of your day, and a very busy week it's been for everyone. So lay back a bit, enjoy the weekend, and talk to you again as we enter the new month from next week. Thank you so much. Johnson Chukwu, the CEO at Carry Asset Management. It's still a season of earnings, and some of the listed companies are reporting some of their backlog of earnings on the market. A bit of that later on the show. But again, it's also been a very nail-biting week for the global space. The politics around the political Brexit was one of the big issues for this week. We'll talk to Juliana Olayinka, my colleague from our London studios after the break. Stand by, everyone. We'll be right back in about 2 to 3 minutes.